This is Fight Fans Radio.
Welcome to Across the Pond with your hosts, Aundre, Jacobs, and Matt Simpson.
First of all, Ted is amazing. It's a great, funny film, and we both enjoyed it. And she is a lovely, lovely girl. But the spark was so dull it was like watching Jacob Volkman fight. You know, it was. We're both really nice people, but we just didn't spark. But it's perfectly fine, because I went out last night, got incredibly drunk, and got 3 numbers. So, you know, it's not. My heart isn't broken.
Were they all women?
No, one of them was one of them was a dog. Two of them were women.
That's okay. I guess that's okay then.
I like dogs. Do you like dogs? I'm assuming no one here's actually watched Snatch then.
Yeah, I've watched Snatch, but I couldn't understand half the movie, so.
Do you like dogs?
No, that's a great movie.
Thank you very much. I know it's a great film. Yeah, nothing much really happened in MMA this week, was it?
No, it was pretty much a down week. I mean, it was such a down week. I mean, the Bellator just had some bad things happen to it this week in itself, but thanks to the UFC 151 overshadowing everything in the MMA world, they should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, they should be very happy indeed. Where do you want to start first? Where would you like to start? Do you want to start with Bellator?
Let's start with the lighter stuff first, and then we'll get into the heavy stuff. So
okay. Have you seen the Eduardo Dantas knockout?
Yes, I have.
What were your thoughts on this knockout?
It was pretty horrific. So, I mean, you really can't go much worse for Bellator. I mean, they've now had this. I think this is their 3rd champion to lose a fight in a non-title fight. And so, I mean, a lot of people have poked at Bellator saying
the second.
It's the 3rd because Joe Warren lost. He was fighting in featherweight tournament. Joe Warren lost, and so Christian Mpubu lost to Travis View, and now Eduardo Dantas losing to Tyson Nam. So, yeah,
I think it's worse. This is worse because it's outside of the company.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. It is absolutely worse. But, I mean, it's also going to – I mean, now they're going to have to really address the tournament. I mean, they have to shorten it. At this point, I mean, you've had 3 guys lose, not fighting title fights. You're going to have to shorten it down to at least a 4-man tournament. I mean, Bellator's was built around the tournament. I don't think you can get rid of the tournament, but your champion's only getting to be able to fight, once, maybe twice a year. Obviously, is an issue. I mean, they've got to make money. They need to stay in shape. And so they're trying to do that by fighting these non-title bouts, and it's not working out for them.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. But Bjorn Rebney is very steadfast in the fact that this is how he wants it to be. So, for Rebney, what do you think he's going to do it? Do you honestly think he's going to change?
Without a doubt, Rebney's not going to change anything. He's much like Dana White in that. He refuses to admit when he's screwing things up. And but this is, I mean, it's going to continue to be a problem. I mean, if these guys can't get matches to fight in Bellator, they're going to fight outside of Bellator. And whenever you get inside the cage, you take a chance at losing. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're fighting the lowest tier of lowest tier guys, which Tyson Nam is not, but it doesn't matter who you're fighting. You take a chance of getting knocked out whenever you get in that cage. I mean, they're wearing 4-ounce gloves. Everybody has a chance to get hit on the button. And if that happens, you go to sleep. So it's just it's a sad state of affairs for Bellator, but it's good because outside of individuals like us, for the most part, no one watched Shuto, and most people aren't going to know that Eduardo Dantas lost this weekend, especially with UFC 151 stuff.
You see, here's the thing, right? I'd never actually heard of Tyson Nam before, Is he related to Nam? No, that doesn't work because Nam Fan is his
Nam.
first name.
Yeah.
Damn it. It sounded good in my head, but I'm really hungover, so it makes kind of sense why it wouldn't work. God, he's 5'7". He's a huge bantamweight. Sorry.
No, it's like I said. It was Eduardo Dantas. It's just horrible because Dantas is definitely a guy that Bellator is going to be able to market. I mean, he's looked great in all of his fights in Bellator, and so this is a huge hit. I mean, Christian Mpubu losing. He's not really even a light heavyweight. He walks around like 206. I don't know why the guy won't drop down. So not a huge hit there. And I don't even know how many people even knew that he lost to Travis Yu outside of it being announced. But this is a big deal. So especially being that your Marcus Galvo just won this past weekend to get the opportunity to fight Dantas. So it's bad all the way around. But let's get past that. Actually, there is a little bit more news with Bellator. Bjorn Rebney also announced that if Pat Curran doesn't get healthy quick enough, that they're going to go ahead and have an interim bout with Daniel Strauss and Patricky Pitbull.
I did see this.
Yes, I think it was just announced this morning or late last night. Which I think that's a smart move. I mean, you're going to have Daniel Strauss on the shelf for almost 9 months if they don't do something of this nature, especially if Curran has to, if the 2 month right now he's looking at the 2-month layoff before he can even start to train. So you don't want that. You don't want your fighter sitting on the shelf for long periods of time. So I think that's probably a good idea. But
and plus, a broken orbital is no joke.
No, without a doubt, it's
no joke whatsoever. So it's understandable why they'd probably want to do something like that. Who would you reckon would win between? Would it be Patricio Ferrari?
Yes, I would say I'm still going with Patricky. I mean, he won the first time they
Patricio,
but Daniel has improved tenfold since their last. So even though I'm still leaning towards Patricky, I mean it'd be a hell of a fight because, like I said, Daniel Strauss' striking he's a solid wrestler and his striking is just really, really, really stepped up here lately, and it's looked really, really good. So it'll be a really interesting fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think Matt means Patricio for not Patricky. Patricky is the lightweight, I believe, isn't he?
Yeah, it is. You're right,
Yes.
It is Patricio.
Yeah, I kept on saying Patricio. Every time you said it, I was like Patricio. Patricio, like I was sneezing.
I was having a Boss Rutan moment. Give me a break.
Oh, I don't call that a Bras Rutan moment. I'd call that God, what's his name? The dude that he used to work with. My head is killing me. What is his name? Skeletor commentator. Stephen Quadros.
Stephen Quadros.
He looks like Skeletor.
He does look a bit like Skeletor.
It's quite disturbing.
Dead man walking. But but regardless, yes, that should be a really, really good fight. And it's something that, like I said, they definitely need to do.
Do you know what? Talk about great timing, but I've just seen a tweet from Patricio Ferrari saying, "Have you seen any picture or got any info that confirms Curran's injury? I don't believe it."
Oh, brother.
Talk about great timing on Twitter, hey?
No, with that being said, that Bellator did finish their summer series, Bellator 73. And even though they were missing their title bout, it was I thought it was a fairly entertaining card, and it was definitely the best main event that they've put on through their summer series to date. So
tell me about it.
It was the opening bout was the heavyweight bout between Wessel and Martinez. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the most exciting of fights as it went past the first round, and as we know, that in Bellator, if the heavyweights go past the first round, things tend to fall apart. But once we got past that, we had Musatelli making his debut at Bellator with Van Buren, I believe that was his second fight in Bellator. And though it was a short fight, it was a fun fight. Van Buren made the mistake of staying in Musatelli's guard, which is his bread and butter, and he managed to get the triangle choke about midway through the first round. But it was still a fun fight to watch. And then the co-main and the main event were both really exciting fights. Marcus Galvo versus Luis Nogueira, I thought was back and forth, really entertaining. And really what changed the fight was Galvo finally started firing straight down the pipe. As soon as he started throwing jabs and straights, he landed heavy on Nogueira, hurting. And it was just a short time after that in the second round where he finished Nogueira with some elbows. Now, myself, I thought like some of those elbows landed right in the back of his head, but evidently it was okay. They didn't, I guess. I don't know, but to me it looked like they did. But regardless, he got the TKO victory in what was a pretty exciting fight. Then we had the main event, Travis View versus Attila Vey. Travis View, what the hell were you doing, man? I mean, you're waving your hands, waving Attila Vey in, and then you're circling into his power hand. That had to be one of the worst strategies you could possibly take going into that fight. And I'm not a master tactician by any stretch of the means. But
You're not Greg Jackson.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not Greg Jackson. But I would assume that you would be, if you're training Travis View, you would be telling him to not circle into Attila Vey's strong hands, and absolutely don't try to get him to come at you while you're still moving forward. I mean, if he wants to sit and wait on him to come in and make a mistake and try to get that double leg, that would be smart. But to press the fight, plus waving your hands at him and then circling into the heavy hands of Attila Vey, that's just a bad idea. And it didn't work out for him because he got knocked out in 25 seconds. So, but it was an exciting end to like I said, a pretty fun card to watch, and a good way to end the summer series, especially being that, again, they were missing their title fight.
Tremendous. Now, this is going to sound crazy, right? But was last week Ronda Rousey? This is Sarah Kaufman.
Yeah, last Saturday.
Did we talk about that on the show?
Yes, we talked about it on the show.
I can't. Do you know what? This entire week has been completely obliterated because of what happened with UFC 151, but I can't remember anything pre last week. I can't remember
everything. It was as the world turns in MMA. It was crazy.
So this is how I want to do it, because I think it's a little bit more interesting than just recounting the news. I sort of want to know, like, where you were when this, like, I'm going to, like, shout out certain parts of the story, and I want to know where you were when that happened, okay? And what you were doing, what you were thinking. Okay. So, Dan Henderson and John Jones have a press conference. Did you hear any of the press conference notes?
No, I did not. Okay,
cool. Let's skip that one then. All right, so Dan Henderson, there are rumors that Dan Henderson is injured. Where were you when you heard that?
I was actually at my shop, and it literally just came across my Twitter timeline, and it was pretty funny because the day before I was saying that the only way Dan Henderson was going to, or the best chance, or Dan Henderson didn't have much of a chance of winning this fight. He actually had a better chance of getting cast in the remake of Moonwalker. And after he was announced that he was actually injured, I thought maybe he maybe just got that role and decided to turn down the fight.
That was such a bad joke. I'm sorry, Matt. You killed it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should have.
I kind of screwed up the delivery.
You should apologize to everyone that had to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
First of all, Moonwalker is a terrible James Bond film.
Not that Moonwalker. It was Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
That's even worse. That is even worse. Besides from the fact that Smooth Criminal is a great song, that film is terrible.
Yeah, but I still thought it'd be funny if Dan Henderson was cast as the lead role.
I don't think Dan Henderson can dance. I think he just shuffles.
Yeah. Regardless, though, yes, I was. Pretty much most everything is regarding UFC 151 was across my Twitter timeline as I was dealing with things in my at my shop.
Okay. So you hear that Dan Henderson's injured. You know there's going to be a massive press conference. Did you listen to the press conference live, or did you just listen to the Twitter? Did you just read your Twitter feed as the world slowly crumbles?
See, I did not find out about the press, or I didn't hear the press conference till later in the day. I found out that Jones had turned down the Sonnen fight, and then that he. And then UFC 151 was canceled after the conference probably, I don't know, it must have been a couple hours after the press conference had already occurred. And my initial feelings for Jones turning down the Sonnen fight were different than what my feelings were after I actually heard the conference and heard why he turned down the Sonnen fight. So I've been kind of all over the place. as where I felt as far as who's at fault here and where the mistakes were made and whatnot. So
okay. So when you first heard it, what were your thoughts?
The conference call, or that when I first heard that he turned down the Sonnen fight? When
he turned down the sort of it. Well, we'll get to the conference call.
Okay, initially when I read that he turned down the Sonnen fight and everybody was freaking out about it, I was just like, who cares? I mean, it's up to him if he does want to fight Sonnen. I mean, if he's got an injury. At this point, I don't know why he's turned it down. For me, immediately in my mind, the reason he would have turned it down is, again, maybe he had an injury going into the Dan Henderson fight, but was going to fight with it and was going to work through it. And now this has happened, and okay, well, I'm not fighting the guy I was supposed to fight, so why go ahead and take another fight if I'm dealing with something as far as that goes? So I was defending him, and everybody knows how much of a fan of John Jones I am. And then people were going off about UFC 151 getting canceled, and again I was like, you know what? It sucks for the people that this is going to hit them in the pocketbook. So the fighters, sponsors, the UFC itself, cable providers, and so on and so forth. That I feel for. But as far as the fans go, I mean, I don't know why you're all freaking out about it. I mean, they put on a bazillion events now, and there's tons of MMA to watch, so you could probably just move on from this. Mm-hmm. But then I finally heard the conference call.
Okay. So first of all, was this the most? What were your thoughts on the conference call overall? Because I've got to say, I put it this way, I wouldn't want Dana White to be my head teacher, my school principal, and I was the one person who screwed up, you know what I mean?
No, that's absolutely right. Yeah, that would suck. And my overall opinion of the conference call is that it showed one thing. Dana White, in my opinion, does not need to be the spokesperson for the UFC. He does not need to handle conference calls that involve, without a doubt, their number 2 or maybe number 3 pay-per-view draw in their organization. Now, to me, this all should have been handled behind the scenes. If John Jones turned down the Sonnen fight, I don't care if you need to, you can say whatever you want, but the fight's not going to happen, and you don't need to get on there and cuss out the trainer and cuss out John Jones and act like a fool. That's my opinion. I mean, you're running a multi-million-dollar organization. And I understand that I get destroyed on Twitter by saying this because people tell me, well, that's how the sport is, and that's how Dana White is, and that's why the sport's grown so much. Whatever. The reason sport's grown so much is you've gotten more. Your fighters have gotten more talented. It's become, individual. People look at it. They don't look at it as human cockfighting anymore. They look at it as a sport. And you guys have put together, good cards and entertaining fights, and that's why the sport's growing. You're getting backed by reputable sponsors. You're getting backed by the Fox. You're getting the sport's growing because of all that, not because Dana White cusses and acts like a jackass whenever he gets upset. That being said. John Jones, the fact that he turned down the fight because they didn't feel like that they were going to be prepared to fight Chael Sonnen, that's a whole other different story to me, and that's absolutely deplorable. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that John Jones, because I feel like he would absolutely destroy Chael Sonnen, felt like they needed a full training camp to take on a guy that in turn would not have had a full training camp on 8 days' notice.
Okay. So, what did you think of the how people reacted towards John Jones? I thought some of it was harsh. I thought some of it was really harsh. But I agree. But it's weird. It's weird because what I did was, me personally, I spoke to a bunch of people in the MMA world about it. And they all sort of had the sort of same idea. Oh, John Jones is this, and John Jones is that. I was like, all right, cool. When I asked people who weren't involved with MMA and barely know anything about MMA and just asked them about the scenario, you're a young fighter, you're trying to establish your legacy as the best ever, and your opponent pulls out. You're 8 days notice, another guy says he'll come in, your coach says, don't do it, it will be the biggest mistake of your career. You listen to your coach, right?
And, that's right.
And you don't lose. You don't want to lose money. You want to keep the title. If he's not someone that you're prepared to deal with, then boom. So, I see it from both sides, but the thing I don't think anyone's really picked up on, right? And I could be wrong, and I'm sure a lot of people would say, well, that's definitely not true. But if John Jones is supposed to be the baddest man on the planet, the man that would shatter Anderson Silva, what people say that. There's no two ways about it. People think that John Jones would beat the living death out of Anderson Silva. But if that's the case, then John Jones should have been like, easy money. The guy hasn't even had a full training camp. I could take this. But he listened to Greg Jackson. Does that mean that Greg Jackson didn't feel that, at this very time and moment in his career, John Jones could deal with Chael Sonnen?
You know what? I don't know what it means, because the thing about it, I don't know if it was a financial decision. I don't know if it was a physical decision.
Did that make any sense to you right
now?
No,
it absolutely made sense to me.
Okay, cool.
I know. I completely I get where you're coming from, but the thing of it is again, I still don't know really why they didn't take the fight. I mean, I know why they publicly said they didn't take the fight, but I mean, I don't know what kind of money it would generate if, say, the Chael Sonnen fight happens at a later date. What kind of money are they going to generate with all the publicity and all of the hubbub that goes with fighting somebody like Chael Sonnen that can hype a fight like nobody else in the business?
Well,
versus a fight. But now you're right. Now he takes a hit publicly. But you know what? Nobody likes him as it is. He has.
Not even that.
The people that do like him are still going to like him. I don't think they're going anywhere. If John Jones has not done enough to piss you off now, and you're still a big fan of John Jones, then you're not. Then this isn't changing that.
Well, here's the thing, right? I think I said this on Twitter, and a lot of people agreed with me. John Jones is either the biggest. The biggest idiot. He's either going to come across as the biggest idiot to a lot of people, or in some ways, he's the biggest genius on earth. And I say this because, if you put it simply, he is now, in wrestling terms, become the master heel. And what's gonna happen is people are gonna tune in, people are gonna buy pay-per-view buys, not because they want to see a good fight, but because they want to see John Jones get beaten. They want to be there. They want to be the person to see who beats John Jones. They want to be that. They want to be there at that moment because they don't like him. And he's said that he's doing this for the money. It's all about the Benjamins. All about the Benjamins, and he's going to make some serious Benjamins because he is that hated.
I agree, but I mean, it's all about the Benjamins for everyone. And Chael Sonnen would not have taken. If you know what, Chael Sonnen would not have given his purse up to John Jones. Chael Sonnen said that just because it sounds good. It's a good sound bite. If Chael Sonnen was told, okay, Chael, I want you to take this fight against John Jones, but it's a non-title fight and you're not getting paid. It's Chael Sonnen taking this fight. I'm sorry, but I don't believe so.
Of course not.
Okay,
so it's more stated now. Obviously, I fight because I love the sport. You also like to get paid, but John Jones he's gone out there straight away. You know how Anderson Silva, I like to fight, the challenge, John Jones is really, really the sort of the first champion, modern day wise, who goes, look, I'm doing this to get money. I got a lot of kids. I got a lot of kids.
My feeling is
this is college.
My feeling is this is the first time he's been honest. In front of a mic. That's my take on that, is that, the guy that we see most of the time is full of it. He's fake. But when he's coming out and saying, I like to fight, but a big reason I like to fight is because I like to get paid. Mm-hmm. To me, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what? Of all the things John Jones has done to irritate me, that didn't irritate me in the slightest. I mean, I understand that. And anyone that doesn't understand that, to me, you're not being real. You're not living in the real world. I mean, these guys are not. They're not out there fighting for family, family crests. These guys are out there to make money. Okay, that's what they're there to do. They're out there to make money and gain fame. And some of them, I'm sure, the title means a lot more to them maybe than the money. But at this point, the top guys make a ton of money, and so that's where the sport's going, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's what happens in business.
Mm.
So
Indeed.
But I'd like to get back to the cancellation of UFC 151 and how Dana White threw John Jones under the bus, saying that it's his fault for this happening. And really, I want to hit something specific that he said. Actually, a couple things that he said on the conference call. One, saying that John Jones, that any fighter is not a businessman; they're a fighter, and that if he was a businessman, then this fight would have happened. Yada yada yada. But then later in the call, he was tooting his own horn, saying how they've built the UFC up and they've done all this stuff, and so they know what they're doing. They're not spreading these fights. They're not spreading the events with, they're spreading the fighters out too thin, having too many events. They know what they're doing. Yada yada yada. Well, if you know what you're doing and you're on top of everything, then UFC 151 wouldn't have gotten canceled. I'm not a multi-million-dollar business owner, but I always plan for worst-case events with anything that I do. Worst-case scenarios. If you're running a multi-million-dollar business and you're in cahoots with Fox and all these cable networks and you've got all this stuff riding on your pay-per-views, you cannot have a pay-per-view canceled. That is hands down one of the worst things to happen to MMA, in my opinion, ever. I mean, because you're going to have the hierarchy, the higher ups at Fox are going to be pissed. You're going to have the cable companies pissed. Your sponsors are pulling out left and right, and it's just a huge dropping of the ball by Dana White and the Fertitta brothers and everybody over there at Zuffa and the UFC. And the fact that they're not owning up to it, that it is their fault, is beyond me, because you're the guys that put together this card. You're the guy. I mean, you can't tell me that. What was it? How long ago did Koscheck pull out? It was like it's been a month, 2 months, something like that. Months, yeah. So at that point, you knew that this card was pretty much hinging on Jones and Henderson fighting. Mm. And you know what? Anything can happen. Jones could be in a car accident 3 days out. Anything can happen to cause this to go down, and to not have done something to make sure that you have a safety net if something like this was to happen is inexcusable. And to throw your light heavyweight champion under the bus just because, regardless if he should or should not fight Chael Sonnen, again, to me, is inexcusable. Because I believe he's the number 2 pay-per-view draw for them right now. And he's the number 1 with GSP out. And you're going to throw him under the bus. And I don't know. The way it was handled, the conference call was handled, I thought was really poorly handled by Dana White.
Okay. Erica, what were your thoughts?
Oh, really? Sorry, caught me off guard. I agree with Matt. Although I've never been, John Jones does not bother me. I actually don't see what the problem people have with John Jones is, other than, and Matt, excuse me for this, and this will either you're a real cool dude and this won't make you uncomfortable, or you're a typical person and you'll get slightly uncomfortable. I think in general, white America does not like young black male athletes that are well-spoken, with a good head on their shoulders, that are confident in what they do. They like their black athletes to be like Rampage Jackson with some sort of chain around his neck howling at the moon. They like their black male athletes to be like Ocho Cinco renaming himself. That's what they like. They like ridiculous crap like that. But the instant that a young black male athlete is successful, well-spoken, looks like he's a good head on his shoulders, everybody calls him cocky, that he's full of shit, he's this, he's that. I bet you if he juked and jived for them, they'd be satisfied. But they don't know what to do with him because he doesn't fit into that little mold that they like their black male athletes to be in. And I think that it's pretty much, I would say that's 90% of white people dislike him. I don't care what you say it is. I don't care if it's the God thing. I think that's what it is. And we're all a little bit racist on the inside, right? To blame John Jones for the cancellation of this card is stupid. I don't understand why anybody would do that. And Kevin Ioli wrote an article comparing a UFC card to a Bruce Springsteen concert, which, if anything, that tells you, first off, how old he is. And second off, a Bruce Springsteen concert? Really? I mean, if the UFC was an organization completely surrounding one person, that person being Jon Jones. Yeah, that analogy would be fantastic. That would work out perfectly. But you know what? That's not the way that it works. It is an organization full of talent, full of people that they present to their fans. And to say that how many times have we seen the main event get pulled on a card? We've seen this happen before. We've seen this happen plenty of times before. And it really sounded like to me when Jon Jones said he wouldn't fight Chael Sonnen, the UFC retaliated like a 12-year-old, like they always do, and pulled the card so they could blame Jon Jones. And that's my conspiracy theory for the day.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Erica.
Sorry.
I'm happy I brought you in. I know you were like, oh, damn, why are you calling me in to do this? But I like to keep you on your toes, and you came with some fire, so it's good times. Matt, are you feeling uncomfortable?
Absolutely not. I mean, because I was a big Jon Jones fan when he came on the scene against Stephan Bonnar, and I was behind the guy. My problems with him is his attitude and his attitude inside the cage. When he had Machida choked out, he dropped him on his head. When he came out to fight Quentin Rampage Jackson, he was crawling around on the ground acting like a fool. I don't like the
Matt, I'm coming back in. I have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that. I have never, and I've been watching MMA for years. I have never once seen a fighter choke another guy out and then gently place him on the mat. Never. You point out one time where you've seen that, and I will shut up. You point to me one time where that's happened. Did Scott Jorgensen do that when he guillotine choked that dude out up against the cage and his feet were coming off the ground? No, he dropped him on the mat and he ran around. That's what fighters do. But Jon Jones does it, and suddenly it's an issue. So I'm going to go away now. Sorry.
Okay. Well, it's still an issue for me, the way he acts. And the fact that he comes off that he is God-fearing, and then sometimes he's not. He's a smart ass. I mean, he's a kid. That's my problem. And my problem is that, just be who you are. That's all I care about. It's just that's my biggest problem with Jon, because I don't feel like he is who he is. And I felt like him coming out and saying that, you know what, I want to make money to support my family, and that's what I want. That's one of the big reasons I fight. That was him being him. That was not him trying to get PR and trying to get some fans. So that's my take on it, is that Jon Jones needs to be Jon Jones. And I felt like, when he first when he first started fighting, he was Jon Jones. But then he got overwhelmed with all of the accolades and everything that's going on, and he's young, and he didn't really handle it that well. That's my take on Jon, and that's why I dislike him. I don't want to say I dislike him, but the way it gets under my skin. It's not because he's well spoken and whatnot. I was really excited because that's the first thing I thought. I was like, all right, right now we've got a black fighter coming in that is well spoken. I was like, and it looks like he's going to be really successful, and that's going to be great for this sport. That was my opinion on Jon initially. That opinion has changed, and it has nothing to do with any deep-seated racism. At least I don't think it does. Maybe in the back of my head. I guess maybe I am a closet racist. But no, I hope Jon. I think Jon will. I think Jon will turn it around. I think when Jon gets past his youthful mistakes and like the apologies he's made, the PR apologies, they were horrible. I didn't agree with them. I don't know how you felt about America, but I thought they were bad. You know what? Just say you didn't want to fight the fight and leave it at that.
He shouldn't have been apologizing to begin with. But what was bad about them? They were canned apologies.
Exactly.
But everybody gives canned apologies. Politicians, celebrities, athletes. I don't understand why when Jon Jones does it, it's fake and
it's
not
never.
real.
And it's not. I throw anybody under the bus with a canned apology. I don't just hold back on Jon Jones.
There's nobody that doesn't do a canned apology. I don't know anybody who does a quote unquote who has done a sincere apology that you thought was on the money, and you were like, yes, I believe you. Nobody is who they say they are. I mean, how do you know that anybody is who they are? Rampage Jackson isn't. Do you really think that's Rampage Jackson? Do you really think Rampage Jackson walks around his house with a chain around his neck, howling at the refrigerator before he opens it up? I mean,
do.
Do you think Chael Sonnen talks shit to his computer before?
Oh, one at a time, people.
Sorry. It's a thinly veiled argument against Jon Jones. It does not make sense. It doesn't. He's fake compared to who? Compared to who? You don't know these guys. You don't personally know any of these fighters. So how can you tell me he's any more or less fake than anybody else? Josh Koscheck. Oh my God, talk about fake. Really? I mean, that whole jerk thing is a facade. It's to get people to dislike him. He's smart about it, yeah, but that doesn't mean that that's him. None of the way we see it is them. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I understand where you're coming from. That yes, I mean you got Chael Sonnen's persona, you had Brock Lesnar's persona. These guys all create personas. But my thing of it is stick to it. That's my thing. Is that you know what? If you want to be a heel, be a heel. If you want to be a good guy, be a good guy.
But you're perceiving him as a heel, and I don't think he's trying to project himself as a heel.
You're saying he's not doing it intentionally. It's just that.
No, and I think again, this is all coming back to people disliking this well-spoken young black athlete. That I think it rubs people the wrong way, whether you want to admit it or not. And I'm not saying that you're a racist, but I think that in general, America
I agree that
has a
people
problem
are
with
racist,
that.
And absolutely, and it doesn't matter with John. It's not just John Jones. I mean, in the NFL, you see it in all the sports. I mean, as soon as black quarterbacks started getting some headway, that became an issue. Black coaches has been an issue in the NFL. You see it across the board. Racism is not gone, and it's still out there in individual people that, like I said, they might not even realize that they feel that way, that that's what's causing it. I don't know. But for me personally, that's how I feel about John Jones. Now, I don't have that problem with really anybody else in the UFC. So I don't know. Maybe it's just because I guess maybe I am a tad racist, but I don't really feel that way. I don't feel that way towards anyone else that's of a different color and well-spoken. I just feel that way towards John because I think John is wishy-washy. I think he waffles. And if you want, the next show, I'll be more than happy to go back through and get transcripts and show you where I think he's wishy-washy. But off the top of my head, I can't.
No. You can show me parts where you think he's wishy-washy, but I could come back with any fighter and probably do the exact same thing. That's my point, is that people are pointing out these problems, these mistakes in John Jones, and completely ignoring the fact that these things are. This is what fighters are. I mean, he's not doing anything that hasn't been done before. He is not reinventing the wheel here. He is not doing anything that any other fighter hasn't done. He's been more successful than most fighters.
I guess maybe I'm not explaining myself well enough. I thought that John Jones was going to be different, and he's not.
Oh, so he didn't meet your expectations, so it's his fault?
No, it's not his fault, but I thought he was going to be different. I thought that he was not going to have to go the route of the talking trash and doing all that.
I mean, he doesn't really talk trash. I mean, he does the canned, I think I'm the better athlete.
He does the canned talking trash
I
and
think
stuff that the UFC feeds him.
But I don't think there's such thing as canned talking trash. I just don't know if that really exists.
Okay, guys. First of all, we have a phone on the line. Rob, how you doing?
I'm here. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, Rob? I believe you've got some things to say. This conversation, I don't even have to say anything. I'm enjoying the debate that's going on between Erica and Matt. But Rob, I'd love to hear what you have to say. It's been a long time, brother. Talk. Let the masses know.
Well, first of all, just to be clear, I'm not a John Jones fan. Is he phenomenal? Is he awesome in the cage? No doubt about it. Is he talented? Yes. But he's phony. I mean, come on. The guy is phony. He's on record not too long ago before Hendo got the injuries. Someone, like August 17th stating, someone on radio said to him, I don't know the radio broadcast or whatever, it was a podcast, whatever it was, asked him, would you fight Sutton? And then he said, in a heartbeat, I will. Well, he had the opportunity. They gave him the opportunity to fight Sutton, and he backed out. Secondly, not too long ago, this is all the phony stuff. I mean, the guy's talented, don't get me wrong. But the guy's phony. He's full of shit. Just be honest, you know? And that's my beef with him. That's why I can't stand the guy. You know, he's out there. He said, UFC's going to sponsor me, this and that. You know, they're going to sponsor me because, I won't do nothing foolish. I will never get into a DWI. Boom, he gets into the DWI. After that statement, he goes, well, I'm a company man. I will never say no to the UFC. Whenever they need me, they got me. What happens? UFC asks him to do him a favor, and he flakes out. I mean, the guy's, don't get me wrong, the guy's awesome in the cage. I mean, the guy's probably, you could, probably argue pound for pound one of the best guys out there. But when it's just his mouth, he needs, I don't know, Malky, his manager, I don't know what he's doing, but he needs a PR guy. I mean, the guy puts his foot in his fucking mouth, excuse my language, puts his foot in his mouth so many times that he alienates so many fans. Like what Matt said before, when he fought Bonner, I said, wow, this kid's going to be phenomenal. This kid's going to be something else. And then sooner or later, he just started opening his mouth, and he just alienated I believe he alienated the hardcore fans, the ones who read every day, go onto the blogs, read about, the UFC and all this other MMA and stuff like that. I believe he's alienating those fans. Now, if you're talking about the casual fans who just occasionally puts on, the TV and watch these fights, they don't really study the game. They're just watching him fight and say, wow, this guy's awesome. Like when Michael Jordan was in his prime, if you're not a hardcore basketball player, you just see Michael Jordan playing, you'd be like, wow, this guy's awesome. I don't know if that kind of makes sense. But that's what I got to say. I mean, there's more stuff, but I don't want to take too much of your show.
Yeah, go on, throw one more at us.
I was ranting, I was ranting there a little bit more, Another thing, too, not too long, when he won the heavyweight title belt, he goes to the fans like, look, I don't want to the replica belts because I believe that this is my belt, I earned it, and this and that. I mean, come on. These are the fans who are cheering you on and stuff like that, and then you don't want to, you're going to come out and say something like that to the fans, like, look, don't give me a replica belt because, I don't think you should have it and so forth. But I don't know the exact quote he said. So stuff like that, kind of like, I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, this guy's full of himself. Is he ego tripping? I mean, to me, he's phony. I mean, Rashad said it himself. And not only that, when Chael Sonnen started dissing him on Twitter, he came back. Now, he's entering a world that he sucks at. In the cage, he's awesome. But when it comes to, talking crap on Twitter and stuff like that, he's horrible on it. He should never entertain Chael. He should have just said, laughed it off and said, well, that guy's crazy, whatever. But then this whole thing happens, and then he hasn't said anything on Twitter against Chael. He hasn't even opened his mouth. Chael punked him. I mean, Chael punked him on ESPN and everything. Going back to the PR thing with Malky and his PR department. I mean, he could hire me. I'll help the guy out if he wants, because his public relations is horrible. I mean, ESPN had Chael Sonnen on. They asked John Jones to be on, and he declined. Not even a statement. He didn't have to go live and talk. He could have just made a statement. His PR department or Malky, his manager, dropped the ball. They dropped the ball. It's crazy. And now you have Winklejohn saying that Chael Sonnen knew that Hendel was hurt weeks ago, and that it was a conspiracy theory that he was training on a DL for John Jones. I mean, come on, it's getting crazy, man. It's like a soap opera. It's a drama. It's driving me crazy, man. But that's all I got to say. I don't want to take too much show, I mean, you guys could dog me now. I hope I didn't sound too much like an idiot.
It's fine, Rob. Thank you very much for coming on, man.
I mean, I can't stand John Jones. I'm sorry. I'm part of the John Jones hate club. I mean, the guy even freaking blocked me on Twitter. I mean, fuck him. John, if you're listening, fuck you. That's all I got to say. And I met the guy. He was a nice guy. But, I mean, but that's before, he was a champ. And that's it. That's my rant for the day.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, cool. Right, so, Matt, what are your thoughts on what Rob said? And then we'll go over to Erica. And then
I think that he just reiterated what I was saying a lot more eloquently. I mean, that's my issues with John, too. So that's where I'm sitting.
Erica, are you fuming? Are you okay? Are we good?
I mean, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's funny. I mean, why are grown men blowing this whole title, the replica title belt thing out of proportion? I don't understand. I mean, that's the reason not to like somebody. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't. It doesn't make sense to me. I find it very hypocritical. They're saying that he's childish and that he's a hypocrite. When in turn, I actually think it's the fans more so than him. People make mistakes. It's a part of life. Did you expect him to be perfect? And here's the thing: is most John Jones haters are going to say, "Well, no, I didn't expect him to be perfect, but I didn't expect this." Well, imperfection. So there were imperfections that you had lined up that he was allowed to screw up. There were certain areas he was allowed to screw up, but this one over here, this one,
I guess maybe
replica belts. Oh my God!
I should throw in that. You know what? I also threw Junior DeSantos under the bus when he was on the Tough, and I thought he was acting like a jackass. So I throw pretty much anybody that does that under the bus, at least Matt's bus. So it's not just John Jones. So I thought Junior was the way he handled his coaches and stuff was completely ridiculous, and I thought he was being an ass. And for quite some time, I thought he was an ass. And then, he got me back. So it has nothing to do, at least for me. And again, you're 100% right. I mean, America's full of racism still, and so probably a lot of people that dislike John is based on racism. But everybody's entitled to how they feel, and that's just how John makes me feel. It makes me feel like, it gets under my skin.
Well, so here's the thing. Everybody...
But Junior DeSantos did the exact same type of things that John Jones is doing. Junior was being wishy-washy and doing the same thing that John does, and I called him out on it. So it's not just John. It's just John right now.
And good for you, Matt. Apparently you're like more enlightened than 98% of the world, because at no point have I ever seen anybody say anything bad about Junior Dos Santos.
Well, you need to listen to our show more.
Ever. Because I'm not about everybody. I'm not a JDS fan. But when you have the same thoughts and feelings as a majority of these people, you don't think that's tapping into anything? I mean, it'd be different if your argument was different. Like if you had a different reason for disliking Jones, but your reasons for disliking Jones are the exact same as these other dudes.
People that have listened to our show for a long time, I was ahead of the curve on disliking John Jones. So I saw it coming. I saw him starting to go down this road, and I had a problem with it back then. And so I wasn't somebody that just popped up here in the last year when John started wrecking the light heavyweight division. So that's not me at all. And I get up. It doesn't matter who it is, because I don't really care. We don't do interviews on our show. I don't really care what fighters think of me. What I care about is just stating how I feel and being honest with the people that listen to the show. And so if I see a fighter doing something I don't like, I say it.
I feel you, man. I mean, and I do the same on my show. I mean, there are plenty of fighters that I dislike, but I don't know. It just seems so. It seems so hip. It seems very hip to dislike John Jones. And again, if your reasons were different than everybody else's, maybe I'd be buying this a little bit more. But they're the exact. You've got the same exact. Run of the mill. He's cocky. I don't see how he's cocky. At no point has he ever said, being cocky is I am better than you, and then not actually being better than that person. But saying that you're better than somebody at something and actually being better than that, is that being cocky?
Yeah, I think you can still be cocky and be the best. You can still be arrogant and be the best. I mean, I think Matt Hughes is the classic example of being a complete arrogant ass and still being, during his reign, one of the best welterweights of all time.
But Matt Hughes' arrogance doesn't stem from his fighting ability. It stems from his desire to somehow convert every fighter to the religion of Christianity.
He's arrogant, is what I'm getting at. Is that you can be arrogant. I mean, regardless of where it's coming from, if you're arrogant, you're arrogant.
But where is the arrogance coming from? Like, what is it that John Jones is saying that you think is arrogant?
Well, I never really said that John Jones was arrogant. I was going that John Jones is. Like I said, he just moves all over the place. He can't find one place to just sit in and either be, try to go down the road of being the heel, or try to be the good champion that does everything right by his family, or whatever role he wants to choose. I have a problem with just choose a role, just be who you are. Be something different in this sport where I have a problem with all the people that do all the crazy trash talking and all that stuff. It's funny. I mean, it is funny, especially if you're good at it. I mean, it's entertaining. But I like people to be who they are. Like Josh Koscheck, like you said, Josh. I met Josh out in Vegas, and you're 100% right. Josh is super nice. Josh is nothing like what he shows the fans. But it works for him, so he runs with it. But, I mean, I just like to see people be who they are. I mean, like I said, that's right. I try to be who I am. And if, I'm flawed, I'm not always right about everything I say. But just be who you are.
Yeah, I just, we can agree to disagree because, we could probably go round and round about this. But I don't see anything that he's doing that's any different than anyone else. He just seems to be, for some reason, the one thing that pisses everybody off. Not Chael Sonnen as the fakest fighter that ever did fake. The fakest fighter that ever did fake. People actually believing that he was going to give up his purse. There are people who actually believed that he was going to give up his purse to fight John Jones. Do you really think he was going to do that? But I don't see him getting railed for that.
No, you're right. And Machida didn't get railed.
No one is getting railed here.
Nobody.
Nobody is getting railed here.
Unfortunately.
And Machida, nobody went after Machida when he turned down Jones.
No, they didn't.
And so you're right. Jones is being held up to a different standard, be it racism, be it whatever. But he is, and that's unfortunate for him. But he is. And I guess if it's me, I would recognize that.
And then, so you think that, again, so when I said this earlier, you seemed to get upset when I said that. He's not meeting the expectations of others, so he needs to meet those expectations. He shouldn't be concerned about his own expectations. He should be concerned about the expectations of the fans. I mean, what?
Well, I don't know. You need to be concerned about the expectations of the fans to some point because that's who pays your bills.
I mean, they're going to pay.
The entertainment business. We're not in. He's not working at Walmart.
But he's not an actor. It's not like we have.
It's still an entertainment. It's still entertainment.
No. But let me finish. So it's not like he's an actor. So if I don't like Kevin Costner, which I don't, I just don't go see his movies. But I like MMA. So if I'm going to watch the best in MMA, I'm going to watch a UFC pay-per-view. I'm going to watch a UFC show. There really is no way around it. I mean, I can watch a Strikeforce event if I want to. Titan FC, woo. I can watch Bellator. I mean, but if you really want to watch the best of the best, it's not exactly the same thing. Like,
but you're not the typical fan either, so that's not the same thing for most people out there. I mean, to give you a good example, my mom loves watching this sport, but there's certain fighters that, like Clay Guida, for instance. For whatever reason, my mom can't stand Clay Guida and hates to watch him fight. She thinks he fights way too much. And whenever he fights, if he's on the card and there's not at least one other person on that card that she really wants to see fight, she won't watch the card just because she can't stand watching Clay Guida fight. And there's a handful of fighters that she doesn't like to watch fight. And if they go on the card, she won't watch the card. And I think that those are the people that he's alienating by what he's doing. And it's up to him. It doesn't matter. You know what? John Jones is going to make money. John Jones is going to win fights. And it really, and what I say or you say or anybody else, it really doesn't matter in the end. Because John Jones is going to continue to stomp people.
He will.
And be successful.
And you know what? The fact of the matter is every pay-per-view he does, he gets more pay-per-view buys. So,
like I said, he's the number one pay-per-view guy in the sport right now with GSP going.
And I actually heard somebody say that Rashad Evans was.
He actually isn't. It's John Jones right now.
Where are you getting this information? Because the Untethered guys apparently mentioned some article that someone wrote saying that statistically Rashad Evans is, and then GSP, and then it was Brock Lesnar. Where are these people getting this information from? It sounds like you're pulling out your bums.
First of all, I'd like to jump in because I feel like I've been listening to a podcast for the last 30 minutes of this show.
Sorry.
No, I've enjoyed it. I'm not saying, Erica, thank you very much for talking, and I want you to come and join in more. But I'll just first of all say, whatever you see for pay-per-view numbers doesn't necessarily mean that was the pay-per-view
Exactly,
number.
Yeah.
So,
we're essentially, MMA is relying on one man, Dave Meltzer, to be the end-all, be-all, and he just recently had to retract his numbers for Overeem versus Lesnar by 400,000 pay-per-view buys. So it's got to make you wonder if how accurate or inaccurate his numbers are.
400,000.
Yeah, it was originally supposed to be
9,000.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be wasn't it supposed to be 900,000 or something like that? And then it came out that it was like 535,000 or something like that. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous. And why so late? Why 8 months in to 2012 are you telling us this? I don't know. Okay, guys, I'm gonna let you do your show. Sorry.
Thank you.
I get passionate about John Jones. That's my boy. Don't be hating on him.
Jones.
Don't be hating on him. Don't be hating on him, Matt. You racist.
Racist. Right. And the great thing about this is we haven't even got to the entire end of the story, and we've got 59, 55, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're still on the air, so that's fantastic. We're an hour into the show, but that's not the end of the story, because obviously Lyoto Machida declined to have his number one contenders fight against John Jones, and out of freaking nowhere. Right, let me explain to you how it happened to me. So this happened on my date, bearing in mind. So it could have been me who ruined the date by constantly checking my phone and seeing what the hell was going on. But I go to bed thinking Lyoto Machida is fighting John Jones, but obviously that's an American time. So you're during the day for you. It comes out in real time that Vitor Belfort is fighting John Jones. What was your response to that, Matt?
Well, my response to that was this: Jiminy Christmas, Dana. Really, you're announcing fights that you haven't even got signed, and then we get this, and it's just more where the UFC's dropping the ball. I mean, make sure you've got the actual fight signed before you announce that it's happening. Because in the conference call, to me, it sounded like it was. I mean, like you said, that John Jones was fighting Lyoto Machida. And then we find out that he's fighting Vitor Belfort. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow we find out that he's fighting Chael Sonnen. So, I mean, make sure the fight is signed and on paper.
I doubt that's happening now.
Well, I was just being
facetious.
But yes, but regardless, I thought it was just ridiculous. And I mean, okay, now we got a 15-1 John Jones versus Vitor Belfort, who's fast and can knock people out. So maybe it'll happen. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of people picking Vitor, but it's not going to. And it's not another fight that I don't want to see. So, all right, congratulations, UFC.
Cool. I was completely shocked to the point that I rang my best friend. The name isn't Matt Simpson. Matt's just an acquaintance that I'm playing. Matt is a very cool friend of mine. But I rang my best friend and I was like, you know when you've got your friend and you're both into the same sport and you sort of go, you sort of sound like Wayne's World, like the two guys from Wayne's World, and you're like, dude, have you heard that? Dude. But it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So I was just like, dude, Vitor Belfort's fighting John Jones. What? Really? Oh my god. It was by far the most surreal moment it was one of the most surreal moments for me because I was really tired. I think I woke up at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to work today. Oh, I'm tired. Vitor Belfort's fighting John Jones. Why have I got so much more energy right now? I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. And, it's crazy in a bad way because it's unorganized. It's unorganized and it's not what we thought was going to happen. But in the same way, in the same sort of idea, human beings love drama. I love drama. That was a dramatic day, and that's the sort of thing that gets me pumped about this sport. Now, I don't know if that makes me a bad person or a good person, but I don't care, because as long as I'm excited about this sport, no one can tell me that it's a bad thing.
They always say any PR is good PR, but, I mean, it
really is
a bad week for MMA.
Listen, everyone knows who John Jones is now,
I think everyone knew who John Jones was initially.
Well, did they?
He's been on plenty of talk shows. Yeah, I think that, at least in the States, I think there's nothing.
I'm pretty sure about 40% of America, 40% of America, 30% of America probably know who John Jones is, and that's stretching it. There's a whole bunch of people in America who have no idea who John Jones is. Maybe this increased it a little bit. He gets signed by Nike. That's a huge deal. He's going to get his own T-shirts, all that sort of stuff. But he'll be increased further and further. But the fact that people dislike him so much, I was saying, I don't think I've seen a fighter hated so much since Jamie Varner in the WEC days.
I disagree with that. I think Michael Bisping is still way up there as far as people disliking a fighter.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve it though.
It doesn't matter. We've had this discussion before, but I think he's past John Jones. I think Michael Bisping is still the most hated fighter in the United States.
He doesn't deserve it.
He might not deserve it, but it doesn't matter though. I mean, I still think why are we arguing about this? He doesn't deserve it, but he is the most hated fighter in the United States.
Fair enough. It just annoys me.
It annoys me too.
Erica doesn't want to come back on the radio show because she's a bit not angry, a bit like, I want to not talk so much. But I believe she has said people dislike Bisping, they hate Jones.
Okay, I think people hate Michael Bisping. I mean, when I was at UFC 100 and he got knocked out, I mean, you would think everybody just hit the lottery.
Yeah, but that's an American thing. That was an American thing. That was Team US versus Team UK.
So you're saying
Well, let me finish. The American won on American soil. The thing is, the way I see it is, if Michael Bisping comes to the UK and has a fight, he will get cheered from wall to wall. People love him. John Jones can go anywhere. I guarantee he will get booed.
Okay. Well, I don't think he'll get booed, but yeah,
He's gonna get the next time he fights, he'll get booed. Am I wrong?
I think he'll get booed entering the cage.
Yes, of course he will. Of course he'll get booed.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He'll get booed.
I agree with that, but we'll see.
Erica stated he was booed in Canada, right?
He wasn't booed entering the cage. I think he was booed after the fight.
But that's what I'm saying. It's more global for John Jones.
Okay, you're right. He was. I agree. It is more global. It is more global. These people all across the board dislike John Jones.
You dislike John Jones.
I did say I didn't just say I didn't dislike John Jones. I absolutely dislike John Jones. I've been saying that for quite some time now. But I like Michael Bisping. Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just making my point. Right, let's get off MMA talk for a while. We're done with the MMA today. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. I think last week was a pretty slow week until that happened. So, Mr. Simpson, what have you watched this week in film world? Well, I watched Ted twice this week, man. You watched Ted, so it was that good for you? You had to watch it twice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I like that. I love Ted. It was hilarious, especially all the racism in it. But I like. I put it out on Twitter because unfortunately the movie I wanted to watch this week, Hit and Run, was getting killed by the critics. And I'm normally, when the critics kill a movie, I don't usually listen to them. Like, okay, I want to see it and decide myself if I like it. But I've watched so many shitty movies here in the last few weeks that I was just like. And Premium Rush was getting pretty good reviews, and good. The moviegoers were liking it too, because the moviegoers were also disliking Hit and Run. So I put it on Twitter. What movie do you guys want me to watch this week? And overwhelmingly, it was Premium Rush. Now, going into Premium Rush, I was like, this has got to be the dumbest premise for a movie ever. I mean, outside of Weekend at Bernie's 2, that might be the dumbest. But this is right behind. Go ahead. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
When I saw this, my first thought was, well, it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it, so it can't be that bad. And then it's got Michael Shannon in it, who is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated actors on the planet right now. And I'm really hoping that his name sort of blows up when he plays General Zod in the next Superman film. But you're right. I completely agree with you. I saw the trailer for this, and I'm a big Joseph Gordon-Levitt fan. The Premium Rush looks terrible, so I'm really looking forward to hearing what you think about it.
Well, it was funny because last week off the air, Erica, myself, Aundre, we all had this discussion about movies, and Erica was killing. What
was the film? What was the film, Matt?
Oh my God, I can't. The vampire werewolf.
Underworld.
Underworld.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. She was killing Underworld because of the people wearing $4,000 leather suits and all this stuff. And I said, you got to suspend your disbelief, yada yada yada. And so this is definitely me being a hypocrite because I'm watching this movie and saying, how can I think this is even happening? A guy is outrunning somebody else in a vehicle and they're not able to catch. Because at the time I thought it was like a crime syndicate or something. So I'm thinking these guys have got resources and this guy's just on a bike. How the hell is he getting away from all of these people? So I go into the movie, starts up, and I was immediately drawn in. And it's mainly because of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Mm-hmm. This guy, I mean, he could, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what it is about him, but anytime he's on the screen, he exudes confidence and he just draws you in and he's really likable. And so literally throughout Premium Rush, regardless of the movie itself, anytime he was on the screen, the movie was good. He could be doing anything. He could be eating a sandwich. It was entertaining. So I guess that bodes well for his career going forward, is that the kid can pull off pretty much anything, because he pulled this off. Because I think if anybody else would have been in this role, it would have been horrible. It would have been a horrible movie. Because pretty much whenever Joseph Gordon-Levitt was not on the screen, it was a bad movie. But being that he's on it 90% of the time, it was pretty entertaining. I mean, it was the bike chases and stuff were fun. It was lighthearted. It didn't take itself too seriously, and it was a short movie. And it was over and done with. I think an hour and 27 minutes. And they realized what kind of movie they were making. They didn't try to go in deep with any kind of deep conversations or make you feel anything particular towards anybody that's in the movie. There wasn't a whole lot of character development. It was just action, and it was fast paced, and they kept it going. It never slowed down. And it was a fun movie. I would say that, you know what, I would say that probably 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it's if with everything else that's out there right now, being that the majority of movies are shit, if you want to go see a movie that is just a fun evening, you know, you're just blowing off some time and you want to just let loose for a little bit, it's worth going and checking out. I mean, like I said, Levitt is fantastic in it. And I can't remember the guy that played the police officer in it, but
Michael Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon does it. He does a decent job. He has a couple lines in it that were just kind of weird, but he does a decent job in it as well. So yeah, it was a fun movie, and yes, and it's continuing to get good reviews. So I'd say to go check it out.
Well, I might check it out, but to be honest, I'm sort of waiting for one film. But before I even get to the film that I really, 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 really want to see, is Joseph Gordon-Levitt the actor of the summer? Because, you know, it feels like every summer there's an actor who has 3 or 4 films that come out that are universally sort of just, you know, maybe there's one that's a little bit on that level, but he or she is on that level of just being, I'm an awesome actor, this is my year. I think he might have, I think he might have that, you know, with The Dark Knight Rises, which was awesome. I mean, Matt, I know you don't like it that much, but you got to admit that it was a pretty good film.
What do you mean? I said it was a great film. I just was being I was just picking.
Yeah, nitpicking. I understand. You got to be critical about these things. Premium Rush, you said you give it a 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, like I said, it's worth watching. It's worth seeing in the theaters with like I said, the bike stunts and stuff on it are fantastic.
And then obviously you got Looper as well to come out.
I would say Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I mean, to be honest, I didn't realize how many movies this kid's been in. And I was looking at his filmography. He's either starred or at least appeared in over 62 titles.
Really?
That's just insane to me. I mean,
well, I didn't realize he was nearly 30 because I remember being like 6 or 8 years old and watching Third Rock from the Sun and thinking, he's the same age as me. He's not.
Yeah, no, he actually is 30. So he's
30. Wow.
Yeah, he actually is 30. So, but even with that, I just really didn't realize how many movies this guy's been in. And you're right. He is super active right now. I think he has 4 or 5 movies, either production, post-production, or that he's signed up to do. So over the next few years, he's evidently going to be cranking them out. And so if he can keep it up at a high level of, you know, and as far as his acting and stuff goes, props to him, because normally when guys kick out this many movies, you get a few that are real stinkers. So
I think although he's cranking out a lot of movies, I think he's pretty picky with what he does, you know what I mean? I mean, have you ever seen Brick?
No, I have not.
I think it's the movie he did with the guy who is directing Looper. It is a fantastic film that I cannot advise you to watch more. I really advise you and Erica, if none of you have seen it, really watch Brick. It's really awesome.
No, I'll check it out. Like I said, anything this kid's in right now, and I can't say kid, this guy's in right now. Well, I guess I can say kid because I'm older than he is, so he is a kid. But no, I'm definitely going to check out. And Looper, I think, looks fantastic. I can't wait to see that movie. But unfortunately, the way Hollywood's going, a lot of the movies I think look fantastic and turn to be crap. So, but yeah. But no, definitely. I definitely want to check that out.
Cool.
What movie? Yeah, okay, yeah. What movie are you waiting to see?
Lawless.
Oh man, it's already. I mean, it's already had some critics kick out reviews on it, and it's 50-50 right now. So you better hope the critics are wrong.
Oh really? It's 50-50.
Yeah, it's 50-50. I mean, it's what it looks like. The reason it's getting hit hard is because it's just standard gangster stuff. It's they don't do anything new in this movie, and that's the big reason for the bad reviews.
What the good reviews say?
The good reviews says it's just a fun movie. That they basically the same. They like it for the reasons the others dislike it. That it's just your standard gangster film, but with the cast that it has, it's definitely worth seeing. And you know what? We're both huge Tom Hardy fans. And
I'm not seeing it for Tom Hardy. I mean, I love Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is a freaking hero. He's a fellow Brit, and I got to respect him for that. But it's the other Brit in the film that I'm a huge fan of, and it's Gary Oldman. I hate Shia LaBeouf. I hate him. I hate him so much.
But also, it's got Guy Pearce in it, Jason Clarke. I mean, it's got a huge cast.
Guy Pearce looks freaking amazing. He looks so weird in that film. It looks amazing. But I'm really looking forward to that film. It comes out on September 7th here. So
I'll be watching it next week, and you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me what you think.
That's great, because normally it's the other way around. It's usually a big movie that I want to see, and you get to see it. Like, I'm like, I can't wait. I'm gonna go see the movie tonight. And you're like, oh yeah, I watched that last week.
Yeah. Pretty much. That's how it is. Damn you. But that's the film I'm really looking. I don't think there's any more films this summer that I really feel like I need to see.
Well, there is actually next week. There's another one opening that I really want to see, and I'm hoping Sam Raimi is producing it, and he's about 50-50.
The Possession.
Yes, this is the Possession.
The adverts are starting to come on in the UK now, and that looks really like it's a bit. Excuse my language, fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so long since we've had a really, really good horror movie. Now, I didn't get to see Cabin in the Woods, so evidently that was fantastic. I missed that in the theater. But The Possession, I mean, I think it's got so much potential, and it's got Sam Raimi involved, and so I'm really excited to see this movie. So I'm going to catch that next week as well as Lawless. So hopefully they turn out to be both good movies.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to ask a question to you and Erica, because, you're both fellow geeks like me. Have any of you guys seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Yes, I have. I watch a ton of anime.
So you've seen the latest one, the Brotherhood version, yeah?
Okay, maybe I haven't seen Brotherhood. I've watched the first series.
All right, the first series. Erica, have you?
I used to be really huge in anime, and I can barely make my way through a 20-minute episode now. So The answer to that is no. Unless it's Ranma 1/2, I'm not watching it.
Okay. Cool,
or
Naruto?
Not Naruto. Miyazaki. I can watch any Miyazaki movies, full-length movies. But other than that, I'm like, why are you yelling at me? What? Okay. Why are your eyes so big? I don't know. I turned into an old lady at some point. So, no.
Right. What I've been doing for the last, 3 weeks? 3 weeks, I would say. I have been going through every single episode of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and that's 64 episodes. Now, the original had, I'm going to say, about 40 episodes. There are some similarities, but I've got to say, this is one of the best, and I'm not saying animes, I'm saying television shows for plot, character development. It's a beautiful thing. I can't vouch for it anymore. I finished all 64 episodes yesterday. Well, not all of them yesterday. I finished the last episode yesterday. Yeah, that would have been hell of impressive, wouldn't it? I finished the last episode yesterday, and it's always good, and it saddened me for when I watched Lost and I didn't get this feeling. But it's always good when you start a show at the beginning and get to the end, and you feel fulfilled. You don't feel like there weren't any stones left unturned. You got all the answers you wanted. You feel there's a little bit there that could go on for a sequel, but you pretty much got everything you wanted. Just got to say, fantastic show. It's dedication and it's heavy hitting, because there's some hardcore stuff in that show that might make the average person go But no, guys, if you want something an intellectual, intelligent anime, I can't say Full Metal Alchemist more than Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. The first one was good, but this one is 10 million times better. And that's me.
I'll have to check it out. And you still have not watched the Record of the Lotus War, have you?
No, I didn't even know I had to watch that.
Yeah, you need to watch that, because we'll how you describe Full Metal Alchemist, because that's that is actually probably my all-time favorite anime series that's been produced yet to date. So,
have you ever seen Pride and Glory?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to see that film as well. Just throw that one out there.
throwing that out there. Okay. But yeah, so next week should be pretty interesting, especially if I can get in to see Lawless and maybe get to see both those movies, Lawless and The Possession, which I should be able to now that the UFC 151's been canceled.
Indeed. And also, we just got to hope that there's actually some news, considering we won't be talking about any events.
Well, we might have a special guest next week to fill that void. So,
and again, I know nothing about this. No one tells me shit.
So we'll see if that works out.
Can we have a Scrub-centric episode one night?
Yeah, sure. We also need to get some. There's some Walking Dead news that we need to get to too. We'll hold it off till next week.
Yeah, well, we're businessmen. We always have a backup plan. So if everything goes to hell in the MMA world, we've always got a lot of entertainment news. So it'll be across the pond entertainment next week potentially.
For sure.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I think we're done. Anyone you'd like to thank? I mean, we've gone 1 hour and 21 minutes. So I'm kind of tired and still hungover, so I want to go to bed.
Okay, so yeah, well, absolutely, we got to thank FightFansRadio.com for putting us on. You got to go check them out. They've got tons of good podcasts. Thank Erica for being the mastermind behind the show and running things in the background. And always, man, got to thank the people that listen to the show and download it on iTunes and whatnot. So, and thanks to you, Aundre, for putting up with me.
Yeah, shout out to Erica, shout out to Fight Fans Radio, shout out to the man Matt Simpson, shout out to Rob for coming on the show, dropping some knowledge with the best New York accent ever, and shout out to the MMA fans who download our podcast and enjoy it and send me tweets and whatnot and send Matt tweets and whatnot. Besides from that, I'm not sure if we've got any outro music this week, and if we don't, then that's cool because it will be the same as usual, but we will be getting some outro music. And yeah, as per usual, we're out of here, so peace. End the show.